in social sciences or arts subject. Literature is, of course, all the more difficult because if you are doing something on English, there are so many authors, so many things, and in social sciences, it is more a little easier, and you can have the contemporary sources to work on that. Even for geography, if you are going to geography, you must have a background of, say, the
Hello,
earlier happenings,
hello.
geographical happenings, while you are
Hello.
writing for your own. So it's only the thing that one has to apply one's mind and one should be interested in. I realized that I was meant for social sciences, not for mathematics. I did it
Hello.
only because I
Hello.
thought Chacha Nehru used to say a country needs engineers. So I took science. I then fell ill and couldn't, was selected in engineering, couldn't go there. So finally I did mathematics. So one should not just go by, or rather say, one should not be led away
Hello.
simply by sentiments. You must
जी करा
see
रहे हैं.
your own interest in what it lies. You will be doing your
मैं
best
थोड़ा
in
सा ला रहा हूँ.
something which
मैंने
you
लगाए.
do like.
मैंने लगाए.
If
मैंने
it is forced upon you, then you can't.
प्रोफेसर को दे दिया.
And you should have
वहीं पे
certainly a
छोड़ दिया.
supervisor. Supervisor has a big duty. He
ठीक.
sits down with you, he discusses with you
मैं
your
जिस समय बैठ रहा
sources,
था वहां पे
he
सफाई
sits
करा
down
के
with you, and
उसी काउंट
or
करा
rather
करा
he
करके
makes you to
कॉपी में
make
रखा.
your own list of arrangement, what you will be discussing
कहाँ पे?
first, what afterwards. Then you take it to him or
हाँ
her,
वहीं पे
and
वहीं पे वहीं
he
पे
or she
वहीं पे.
sits down and says, I think it will be better. Or you write chapter after chapter,
ठीक.
and then I will arrange it accordingly. So, a good finding a good supervisor for research, at least for social sciences and arts, is also a job of the research scholar, a supervisor with which you can easily talk, with which you are not very formal, and who is ready to help you. Science is much easier, mathematics is much easier because there you are only dealing facts. There is not two or three ways of one thing. Only one fact. It's factual. So doing research in science subjects, science understanding science might be difficult, but doing research into science is much easier because you are dealing only with facts. But if you come to social sciences, you are doing with interpretation of the sources. You are interpreting it the way you wish to interpret. You can interpret one thing by many ways. आशमा प्रिंस को ले जाओ यहाँ से. So it is rather that you have then to go over. But first, the subject is the theme you are taking is the most important. And once you have written a thesis, keep it right at the other one, but then read the first one again. You will be finding so many other things to add there. You will yourself be surprised. Oh God, I have left this out. Now I have read this, then I should have written it like this, not like this. So most of the time, you are your own supervisor and you can supervise your own work without having a really hard working supervisor. If you get a supervisor like I did, though he didn't help me in between, he only corrected my thesis once I completed it. So it was Professor Irfan Habib, a famous historian. So he said, the statistics are your field, not mine. I have given you economy of the Mughal Empire, a statistical study. Do it and then show. I'll see chapter by chapter, but I'll tell you your mistakes, but I will not help you beyond. And I can't because this is not subject. So I think the research scholar, for the first thing I'll say, if you say, take something which you really are interested in, a theme which you like yourself. It's not imposed by the supervisor or by the idea that here there is a better job, here there is a not. If you don't write really a good thesis and it is not got referred to in other books, nobody will bother with it and it will not really be useful even for getting. Just to have a doctorate is not sufficient to get a job or to be able to satisfy your students. So, one thing you have that you should be interested, and then you go over to it and gradually start doing it. And you always, once you have written one chapter, then you have gone to second, then are going to third, please read the first and second again. There sometimes you will find you are yourself contradicting yourself, because the first thing you got was you explained in another way, and the second thing while you are explaining, it is now contradicting what you have said earlier. So a research scholar should be very careful if he is not having a very strict supervisor. If you are lucky and you got a supervisor who is helpful as well as discipline, maintains discipline, then you will be at peace. I'll be more than happy to take any questions, any criticism which you have. Questions if you want to ask something, criticism if you think that what I have said is not sufficient for you. I welcome criticism, because one learns from criticism, one never learns from appreciation.
Okay, okay,
Can we have
thank
some
you.
questions?
Okay, thank you, Professor Mosby, ma'am. I think the criticism and critical remark will be given by respected chair, Professor,
Mhm.
is going to preside the session and also give the critical remark on the entire this discussion. So I would
I'll,
like to request to respected Professor Piyush Ranjan
I'll,
Agrawal,
I'll
sir.
welcome questions and criticisms both,
Yes, ma'am.
if
So
you have any. If you have
प्रोफेसर
any.
पीयूष रंजन अग्रवाल सर, ओवर टू यू सर। हम लोग बहुत दिन से देर से प्रतीक्षा कर रहे थे और आप सर बड़े धैर्य के साथ से पूरे सेशन में वीडियो ओपन करके सर बैठे रहे। मोस्ट ऑफ द वाइस चांसलर सर हम लोग इनवाइट करते हैं, गेस्ट इनवाइट करते हैं सर। तो सर आप पूरे सेशन में हमारे साथ इंगेज रह के आप और शुभा मैम दोनों लोग आप सर बैठे रहे। आपको सर बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद और सर आप आशीर्वाद लेने के लिए हम सभी आकांक्षी हैं। ओवर टू यू सर।
क्या मुझे बोलना है
हाँ
विकास?
सर, हाँ सर, आवाज आ रही है आपकी। ओवर टू यू सर। यस
हाँ,
सर।
अब आपकी आवाज आई। मुझे बोलना है, क्या करना है? शुड आई
हाँ, यस
स्पीक?
सर, यस सर, यस सर।
अच्छा, चलिए ठीक है। थैंक यू विकास फॉर inviting me to be the part of your activity. I'm very happy to be here, and especially when I find Professor Shubha Tiwari here, Mr. Sujit Bhattacharya, Professor Shireen, and so many participants and members of the organizing committee. In fact, when I received the invitation, I was little doubtful about should I participate or not, because the background of this organization was not known to me when Vikas called me. After 10 minutes, I just decided that we are teachers, and any kind of academic activity that helps the students and that help the young ones, we should always join them to motivate them to do good research work
धन्यवाद सर,
and
धन्यवाद, धन्यवाद सर।
to become a good academician as well. In fact, for this 1 week workshop on research paper writing, my views have been always very different. In my 43 years of teaching experience, I could supervise only 12 PhD theses. When I find the 3-digit numbers of the supervisors, sometimes I feel, how is that possible? Anyhow, uh, Professor Shubha Tiwari has already referred NAP 2020, and I admit her statement that this is one of the most precious documents ever prepared and produced by Government of India, especially during the pandemic period. And for last 4 years, I'm reading his first chapter. And in first chapter itself, every day new word comes. Every day new element comes before me. This is another idea the NAP 22 is devising for. It has a very long rope to carry on for any academic administrators, teachers, and the faculty members. So in first chapter itself, there are 22 pillars. You can call them the 22 elements that have been defined. I will mention only two, three. Now, a teacher is not a teacher only or bureaucrat or any kind of other person in his life or social life. He's a public servant. He's a public servant. Secondly, our approach to study and research should be interdisciplinary, and there should be a synergy among all the activities that is going on within the education system. And most importantly, that I will discuss today is that we should inculcate amongst ourselves the way we handle the researches, the way we teach the students. It should be backed by a critical thinking. And last, I'm looking into today for today's brief lecture is the rootedness. We will discuss it slowly and slowly. So what NAP 22 is devising for, we should forget about the our sense of being elitist. Because once we join as a lecturer in the university or any higher education system, we separate ourselves from the secondary education, elementary education, and from the society in general, and think that we are meant for something much bigger. We do it or don't do it. We are able to do it or not able to do it. But still we create a kind of ego that we are elitist, and we leave apart the common man, common citizen. So the very basic of this NAP 2020 is that we should remain connected to, or we should always feel that we are rooted to our origin. We are rooted to our origin. And that is when we remain a common man. That is for the common man. Not only I may remain a common man, but for the common man. Now, as a teacher, there are three basic activities we have been told when we joined the University of Allahabad, that you have to do research, continuous research, you have to do good teaching, and other corporate activities like examination, NSS, NCC, other activities assigned by your principal, head of the department, or the vice chancellor. To me, if you are the good teacher, if you are a good teacher, that is the best duty you are performing towards your institution, towards the society. And this is not a issue that you are a good teacher, very helpful, you deliberate well, communicate well, but you cannot become a good teacher unless you are backed with the update information, update knowledge, and update analytical mind to tell about the subject you are teaching in the classroom, or you are supervising to your students, or you are speaking on any other platform in any seminar, or you are writing in some journal or in any magazine. So research itself is a continuous process. You did PhD, did postdoctoral, you have the projects, you have the DST program, you have the ICR program, so many other programs, but this will not help. I feel that every 50 minutes, 1 hour class is unless is there with your preparation. If the preparation is on just fulfilling the content of your syllabus, rather with new information. I have seen the teachers, those who have not changed their notes for last decades, and that is being photocopied to the next generation, and every student knows of the next batch. This is your content, he will complain, and they are not interested in classes. So unless your class is there with a new thought process, a new kind of analysis, new kind of outcome, and new approach to the teaching, because 1 year or one batch to another batch is a big time, and during the period lot of changes are there. So it has to be continuous process, ongoing process. And you see, why research is important. You see, Gangotri is the Gomukh from where the Ma Ganga emerges out. So this research is like a Gomukh, where the entire thought process of understanding of a subject emerges every day, every time. Now, same is the case when Amarkantak emerges out of Udgam Sthal, that is Ma Narmada emerges out of Amarkantak. So, every river has an origin. So, your knowledge, your river of the knowledge should spread out of the origin, and that origin is from your own research. And research is not a static phenomena, it's a very dynamic phenomena. Your own process changes next time when you understand the another dimension. Your thought process today is different from what you have been doing earlier. Your research has to carry certain kind of resilience. It doesn't mean it is something which is very static. Everybody knows when really I may not state, but I was thinking to state today. When you take so many hypotheses in your PhD and just reject it, accept it, it becomes very non uninteresting to go through your thesis. As an examiner, I have to only find out the end result. These things now have to change. Unless you are clear about the very concept of your title, the entire idea how you explain in your thesis, that a layman in your research paper, a layman who doesn't know about your subject, but he tries to understand you, he's a padha likha person, he's a literate person, tries to understand thermodynamics. So why he's not a physicist, he's from the economics. A person with a history background, he doesn't know the economics, but if he tries to read your thesis to understand a particular regarding the poverty elevation, you've written something, and after retirement wants to read your thesis to understand. So your basic concept should be clear. And these hypothesis kind of testing, this kind of bibliography and references, it complicates the entire process of reading it. So it should be very simple and very clear that anybody who doesn't know the subject could understand it from your thesis, because PhD thesis is the last document you ever produce in your whole career. This is the highest degree of the world. So clarity is very important. And one thing more, once you do a PhD thesis or do some doctoral program, uh, everybody thinks that you are a master of that subject, that topic, on that particular issue. It should not stop. My very habit is when I go for PhD VOC, before going for the VOC, and submission of thesis, almost 1.5 years is elapsed. So I always ask the research scholar, what happened thereafter? You submit your thesis. There have been a lot of changes. If you could not track it, very objective of doing the research is negated, neutralized. Thesis is already cleared by the examiner. He has accepted your thesis, but onwards, if you're whether you are interested in that subject or not, so you have to adopt that topic. If you write a paper, a research paper, you adopt that topic. It should come closer to you. And any change that happened even 10 years after you become young to some go for advanced stage, advanced stages of your teaching and other professional activity, you should feel that this dissertation I did in PG, this dissertation I did during my internship, this article I wrote when I was a very young lecturer. Languages have changed, but the very soul of the subject has not changed. subject should not change. Many of the time, people ask me, sir, what topic I to read and or and what topic I should not read.